I just want to show you one more Don Lemon clip, because here he is. This is so indicative of the press, right? This guy was like the face of CNN. So he gets in the face of one of these parishioners right outside. And this man, who's a little on the older side, very articulately defends what ICE is doing and some of the news story that Don Lemon raises. And Don Lemon gets frustrated and basically writes the guy off as a know-nothing. But here's part of it in Sod 8.
On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. At the same time, these are what are called targeted interventions by ICE to keep the American people safe.
If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and they're not targeted. There are no warrants signed by a judge, let me finish. And they're American citizens, many of them. Most of the people that they detain don't have criminal convictions or criminal records.
I'm not going to get into the weeds. This is
you should know that, though. Don't you think that's part of it?
One administration caused a great deal of chaos and havoc and danger for American citizens, and another is trying to correct that.
Do you believe that? Why honestly,
okay.
Let me talk to you just on the
not
facts.
A journalist.
Yes, I am. I want to give you the facts.
No.
Did you know that undocumented people and immigrants commit far less crime than American citizens?
We're done.
How brilliant was that man? No, not taking his facts from Don Lemon, who tried to say the vast majority of people being arrested have no criminal record. You should know that. That's a lie. Kristi Noem put the number over 70% who have been arrested by ICE have an additional crime. That's the reason ICE was looking for them. And we've documented before that in the vast majority of those cases, it's a violent crime.
Of course. The idea that they commit crime at lower rates, or they don't use the welfare system, or that, they come up with all of these second and third order excuses. First of all, their premises are false. But even if that were true, which it's not, they have no right to be here. The federal government has not only the right, but the responsibility to remove these people from the country because of all of the downstream effects of this. Yes. And so, I pointed out the downside of left-wing violence, which is that it works. It does work. That's why they do it, because it can work. But the flip side of that is when we enforce the law, when we do what we're supposed to do, what the people elected Republicans to do, that has a downstream effect as well. You just look, if the heart of this is this immigration debate and the libs are so forceful over immigration because they think it'll give them a permanent electoral majority, if you just look at that debate from last year, the fact that Trump deported formally well over 500,000 people, and then through self-deportations could be well over 2 million people, depending on the labor statistics you're looking at or what have you. At the very least, you had a lot of people leaving and you had the border closed. You saw drug overdose deaths decline for most of last year. You saw rents decrease 4 months in a row, month over month. Why is it? You saw a lot of these downstream effects. Why? Because state action also has political consequences as well. So there's no substitute here. It's good that we feel righteous indignation. It's good. St. Thomas Aquinas, no less an authority than he, points out that if you don't feel anger at injustice, something's wrong with you. If you don't feel anger looking at these scenes, what this mob has done to this church congregation, there's something a little bit wrong with you. But that can't be the end of it. That will be fruitless. That will be worse than fruitless if we don't follow that up with real political action and arrest these people for the crimes that they're committing, put them in prison for as long as we possibly can, stifle the agitation that we're seeing throughout Minneapolis, and stop it from spreading to the rest of the country. If we do that long enough, we keep shipping out the criminals, we keep suppressing the criminals that we have in our own country, we reestablish norms and order. If we do that long enough, guess what? Before you know it, you're going to look up and you're going to have a normal country again. If we don't, if we abdicate our responsibility, this is coming to a church near you.
Absolutely. This needs to be met with the strong arm of the law. And I mean, the thing we're up against, of course, is what's going to happen when and if these people are arrested. Because I mentioned this guy, Megyn Kelly, who was arrested on Friday and was out in time to disrupt this Sunday service. This is him on camera on TikTok explaining the fact that he was arrested on Friday before this church protest. Take a listen. It's at 11.
Today I got arrested for being in a street. I wasn't impeding traffic. I was just scolding Nazis for their bad decisions. And they came up, they lined up, and then they sprinted after me. And they chased me for blocks. I was running for my life. I was scared. I don't know what they're going to do to me. They're fucking Nazis.
Sure you are.
A woman was filming me from her minivan, and I begged her to let me in because I was scared. So I jumped in the back of her minivan, and you know what they did? They came up and they put a gun to her face. They pulled a pistol on her and put a gun to her face. This is not America. This is not freedom.
He seems hinged.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's just like a rule of thumb in politics. When people are screaming at the top of their lungs in voices that seem about to proclaim, "My name is Legion, for we are many," those are not the guys you want to side with. Those guys have problems, and it is a mercy to arrest them. This is a point, by the way, because they're lovely, sweet people, including Christians and moderate conservatives, who say, well, look, don't we want to be nice, and we don't want to be, we don't need to arrest all of them, and maybe we should stop deporting the illegal aliens. We just want to be nice, nice, nice. The premise there is fundamentally flawed. And this goes back all the way, not just in the Christian tradition, but even back to good old philosophy in ancient Greece. The premise here is it's good to the bad guys if you let them off the hook. It's not good. It's really bad to the innocent people when you let the bad guys off the hook because they can torch their cities and commit a lot of crimes. But it's bad for the bad guys too. Do you think this guy is flourishing? Do you think this guy, did he call in sick from work to go obstruct law enforcement and shriek in a church? Something tells me he's not the most gainfully employed guy in the world. He doesn't have his life together. Something's really wrong with him. We need to arrest him for the actual crimes he's committed and punish him for the crimes he's committed. But one of the benefits of our correctional system is we correct people. We can rehabilitate him. He's living a bad life, and it will be an act of mercy when Tom Homan or Kristi Noem or anybody else from law enforcement shows up at his home, maybe Stephen Miller, and drags him out and brings this guy a little bit back to sanity. Whatever he's doing right now is not good for him, and it's certainly not good for society.
Yeah, no, flourishing is a no. He's not flourishing. Agreed. And he won't be flourishing if he also gets put in the room with the tranny 6'5" guy. I mean, I don't think that guy cares who fillets him. I want to talk about Ilhan Omar, who's very upset. She's very upset, not about the fraud that the Somalis from her own home country are committing here in the United States, but about the ICE behavior and the investigations. Here she is at a hearing on Friday in Minneapolis, SOT 16.
It is appalling for our Republican colleagues to be okay, for there to be cell detentions in ICE for American citizens. It is appalling for them to be okay, for there to be checkpoints in American cities where people are asked for their papers. And it is appalling for Americans to have to carry their citizen papers only to be told they are not sure if those papers are correct. I don't want to curse, but those of us who escaped places like that, the one place where we thought we would never experience this is the U.S. goddamn States.
Haha, let me see your papers. And why'd you marry your brother?
Yeah, her papers are a little bit suspect.
America wants to know.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see your paper. And she talked about papers, Michael. She's like your driver's license. Show me your and by the way, she talks about how they're just like stopping random people. No, ICE has a list of people they are looking for. And if Minneapolis and Minnesota would just cooperate with them in handing over, the vast majority of these people are already in the criminal justice system. They could have been nabbed at the police station, but they won't do that. So now ICE has got to track them down in their apartment buildings and make it sound like they're just at a random red light saying, like, show me your social security number and your birth certificate. That's bullshit.
I love the performative preface. She says, I don't want to curse. And you think, look, people use salty language. But if you have the presence of mind to say, I don't want to curse, and then you say this naughty word, you clearly want to. So first of all, she's a liar off the bat. But the funny thing about this Ilhan Omar clip is I actually agree with what she's saying. I don't agree with her conclusion. But she says, it's appalling that in America, we have to have people carry their papers and we don't know if their papers are real. Yeah, it is appalling that your party let tens of millions of foreign criminals into this country. I wish we didn't have to do that. I wish we had social solidarity and we didn't have tens of millions of foreign criminals but we are where we are. You got to play the hand you're dealt. We're trying to get them out. You don't want to get them out. But yeah, that's why we have to do this, is because of you. But then second of all, she says, and I come from this place and I got refuge from this bad country. And now I'm here in this. What does she say? The word she uses calls America God-forsaken. Worse than that. It says that America is a damned country. And so she doesn't like the country. She thinks it's in a really bad spot, and she thinks it's just as bad as the country she came from. Well, great. I guess we agree in that you don't want to be here, Ilhan Omar, because this is such a bad place. And I don't want you here, Ilhan Omar, because you make the country worse. So we have this rare moment of agreement, and we should just go our separate ways.
A new year means new financial goals, like making sure your savings are secure and diversified. Will this be the year you decide to talk to somebody from Birch Gold Group? You know, you've been thinking about it. They use an educated approach with a deep understanding of macroeconomics. There are forces pushing the dollar lower right now and gold higher, which is why they believe every American should own physical gold. So until January 30th, if you are a first-time gold buyer, Birch Gold is offering a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility and start the process, just text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you are still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Consider making right now your first time to buy gold and take advantage of a rebate of up to $10,000 when you buy by January 30th. Text MK to the number 989898 and claim your eligibility today. Again, text MK to 989898 now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.